On this episode of Delivering Marketing Joy, we talk with Pat Clark about tips for people who want to start a business and why he likes customers who hustle. Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. I'm so excited to welcome to the show my really good friend, Patrick Clark. Thanks so much for being here, Patrick.
Thank you.
My pleasure. So Patrick is the CEO and founder of Meridios. And I think, for those who don't know what Meridios is about, I think the best way to start, man, is really to say, hey, tell me about Meridios and why do you do what you do there?
Yeah, that's actually a really great question. It really follows the Simon Sinek model of, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And so I like the way you have the question phrased. So good work, man. You get props right out of the gate. Basically, Meridios is our basic premise is this. We think from a software development perspective, we can change the habits of providers so that they will, or by providers, I'm talking healthcare providers, and that they can manage their patient populations better. So we think we can design technology in a way that will change the way that they act and improve the patient care that they deliver to their patients. By way of example, using diabetes as an example, we want to create reports such that they're easy to review and easy to act upon inside of our application. So that's really what we're about. Why we're doing that kind of thing is it really goes back to family history for me, looking at people who have had issues with treatable diseases, diabetes, coronary artery disease, atrial fib, like those types of things. And they really are, things can be done in order to treat and help those people and eliminate things that could just be fixed. If we just did eye exams on diabetic patients, we could find early onset of things and we could help them see longer, and so that kind of thing drives us as a team. And I think that kind of thing drives me personally. So that's really the why of what we do it, is because we really feel like we can change those providers' attitudes towards that by just presenting them with the right amount of information.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about your team and your own personal belief system, and I know you, so I know that you are very dedicated to personal development, not only with you but also your team. Why do you think that's important?
The reality is this. I honestly like being around people who hustle. I like being around people who are working and continually trying to improve themselves. If you talk about my favorite sports stars, they're guys like Pete Rose. His nickname was Little Charlie Hustle. I like that. I like being around people like that. Of course, I'm a stature of 5'4". So when I played basketball, they didn't put me down in the post just to stand there. I had to hustle for the points that I got. And so, when I watched basketball this last year at Ohio State, Aaron Kraft, he's my guy. He was all about hustle all the time. And so I like people who hustle. And so from that perspective, I'm going to hire people who hustle. And I want part of that hustle means I want them, if I'm going to be reading, I want them to be reading. I want them to be growing. The quote that I heard from Dave Ramsey a couple weeks ago when I was at an event with him was, "We will be the same people we are in 5 years, except for the people we meet and the books that we read." And I believe that actually is a quote from Charlie Tremendous Jones was the guy's name. I actually looked him up on YouTube after I got back. But, I think that's true. And I think that books are a good way to change ourselves, but professional development could be anything from, learning a new programming language and keeping yourself sharp and that kind of thing, all the way down to, reading a book and just sort of consuming the idea about how to improve yourself. So I think that goes for employees. It goes for me personally. I think it goes for our customers too. I want customers who are hustlers. I want them to want to improve. And if they are just sort of sitting back and saying, I don't care if I improve, I don't care if it's really that big of a deal, I don't know that I want to align myself with that type of a customer. I want customers who are getting out there and getting after it. That's why I love it when a customer challenges us, because the reality is we need that. We're the kind of people that we need to be pushed just like they need to be pushed. And so I want to be a part of their professional development so much as they're definitely a part of mine as they come back to us with challenges and issues and even, kudos and things that they say, gosh, great job. I think you're doing a fantastic thing.
Well, I really like what you said there. When you talk about aligning yourself with clients that get you. I mean, that goes back to that Simon Sinek thing that, you start with why. And if, you align yourself with customers that get you, then they're more likely to be happy and you're more likely to be able to serve them best. So I like that a lot. So you're an entrepreneur. I know that about you. Let's say somebody is watching this and they're thinking about starting a business. What kind of advice would you give somebody?
This is the best question, by the way, because I could spend 45, 50 minutes on this. So I'm glad this is an hour-long web show and that people will stick in with us. This is great. Great question to ask.
We just got a bunch of people clicked off.
Right. They're gone. But subscribe. Here's what the first one would be. There's several pieces of advice, and I've given, like a lot of people in our community, because they know I'm an entrepreneur, will come to me and sit in my office and say, I got this idea, I'd like to do this thing. And I sort of always feel like, I hope I'm an encouragement, but I know sometimes I'm a little bit of a realist. And so here would be the first piece of advice I would give them, which is being an entrepreneur has very little to do with the thing that you're doing. So if you're going to make hamburgers, it has very little to do with hamburgers. You could make the best hamburger in the world, right? But that doesn't necessarily make you an entrepreneur. It doesn't necessarily make you good at that, right? Being an entrepreneur is about being an entrepreneur. You need to study that craft. You are building a business, not a hamburger. A hamburger is the product of the business. So, and I go back to, I got a lot of that from Michael Gerber's book, the E-Myth Mastery. And learning that, gosh, it really doesn't have to do with what I'm trying to accomplish. I need to work in my business, but I also need to work on my business. And so that's the first piece of advice I would give. The second would be your business will reflect you. So when people come into me and they're all like unkept and they're all disorganized and they can't present their idea, I just sort of go, hey, I want you to know this will reflect you. This is an outgrowth of your personality, and if you're excited, you're ambitious, it's going to reflect that. If you are lazy, if you are disorganized, if you have any of those qualities, the business will reflect that in a huge way. So if you're not good with your money, guess what? Your business won't be good with its money. It flows naturally from that. Last piece of advice I would give anybody is before you start, this goes back to Stephen Covey, who we lost several years ago. Before you do anything, begin with the end in mind. What are you trying to do with this thing? Are you trying to sell it? Are you looking for a quick exit? Are you looking to leave it to a family member? Are you looking to leave a legacy? Do you just want a paycheck? Any of those things are fine. But the reality is you have to decide which of those things you're doing. And if you don't get on that early and develop and design your business around that concept, your business will make you miserable. When you are your boss, you're with you 24/7. You find out real quick that you're a jerk. And so you have to be able to design a business that you would want to go work at. And I know I've heard you say that like a billion times, which is I want to design a business that I want to go work at. And so I'm the same way. I believe every entrepreneur needs to be that same way. So if you have no interest in biotechnology, don't go start a biotechnology business. If your interest is in libraries, go start a library business. I don't know what that is, but you go figure it out and start that business. Because if you have passion for it, you will be less likely when you get knocked down to go, oh, I'm down, I can't get back up. You'll be like, okay, well, that was one way not to do that. I think it was Edison that said, I know 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb. Well, great, and so I can definitely resonate with that. So that would be my advice for any prospective entrepreneurs that are sort of living out there. Develop tough skin. Become a salesperson.
Yeah.
Like if you don't know how to sell, get out. Run now. because it's just going to get worse.
Everyone is in sales. Everyone is in sales. Always. Yeah, that's great. Well, hey, man, that's great. I really appreciate you taking the time to answer some questions with me. I'd like to actually have you back on because I always enjoy talking to you. But I don't want to skate out of here. I know that I always give everybody an opportunity to ask me one question. So I'll give you that same shot.
Yes. Okay, so here's my question for you. I'd like to know what you think the top 4 books someone should read if they want to become an entrepreneur.
Okay. So great question, and it's funny. You referenced number 1 for me. The number 1 book that I literally have handed it out probably a dozen times. I'm looking at my bookshelf right now because it's not on there, which means I need to buy it again. Is the E-Myth Mastery. I think I have reread that probably a dozen times, and what I like about that book is that every time I reread it, I'm in a different place personally within my business, so I get a different piece of it out of it. So that's number 1. I tell you the book that I really liked that I read relatively recently was The Thank You Economy by Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary's written 3 books, and The Thank You Economy is the one that I think it spoke to me the most. It just talks about how to do business in the current economy, I think, and certainly with social media. The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes is a really good one. That's another one I have sitting on my shelf. And then you mentioned 7 Habits. That's a really good one. And then, frankly, I like a lot of things pretty much from Seth Godin. So, honestly, I read a lot, and I think you know that. So there's a lot out there. Let me throw out one more. Epic Content Marketing is a really good one that's out right now. So that's more than you asked for, but those are the things I've been reading here recently. So,
well, I don't know why you didn't mention Delivering Marketing Joy.
Because I was waiting on you to do that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Just a plug, shameless plug. You got to plug it in there. Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks a lot for being here. I really appreciate it. And if you get a chance, do subscribe to the channel. We're going to have this out every week. And once again, Pat, thanks for being on Delivering Marketing Joy.
Yeah, thank you.